Hello students, welcome to the class. In this video, we'll be looking at the text of Unit 1 of Semester 2, The Gift of the Magi, written by O.Henry, the American short story writer. We'll be looking at the summary, the themes, the characters, and the important quotes in this short story. O.Henry was an American short story writer. His real name was William Sidney Porter. He is a very famous short story writer. His rich canon of work reflects his wide range of experiences. He always talked about real people in real situations, very sincerely depicting the problems of real people. His works were very distinctive in his wit, clever wordplay, and unexpected, twisted endings. This short story, The Gift of the Magi, is about a young couple who sacrifice everything they have of value to give each other the best Christmas present. There are many issues that are raised during the course of the story. One of it is, what is a perfect gift? How much money, time, or things are we willing to give up to find something that will really matter to the person we love? And more importantly, he talks about what is really valuable, what really matters, and what's really valuable in the world. If you look at the setting of the short story, it takes place in a dull flat in a dull city on Christmas Eve. Its two main characters live in a very unassumingly dull and cheap flat. The flat is very sparsely furnished with little furniture. It has a broken mailbox and a broken doorbell. And it brings out the poverty of the two characters. Now, the action of the story depends on the fact that Christmas is very close and Della needs to buy a present, a gift for her husband, even with a small amount of money. The story opens with Della counting the amount of money that she has with her, and it's just $1.87, and of 60 cents of which is in pennies. That's all she has. And the next day is Christmas, and she has to buy a present for her beloved husband, Jim. They are living in a very shabby flat, and they are poor. But they love each other. Now Della recovers herself, and she goes to a mirror and examines her beautiful hair, their brown knee-length hair, and is one of the two greatest treasures of the poor couple. It's Della's hair, and the other is Jim's gold watch. Now Della makes her decision. She leaves the flat and goes to Madame Sofroni's hair good shop, where she sells her hair for $20. Now she has $21.87. Now Della is very happy, and she searches the whole city to find Jim the perfect present. And she finds at last an elegant platinum watch chain for Jim's watch. It's $21 and she buys it. But now she's worried that Jim will not approve her as she has lost her hair. But she had to do what to get him a good present. And then she comes back to home and makes up her hair, and she gets to work preparing coffee and dinner as it's time for Jim to come back. Now Jim arrives at 7 p.m. as he usually does, and he finds Della waiting by the door. He stares at her. he is not able to understand that Della's hair is gone. Now Della is worried because she cannot understand what this reaction means. And after a little while, Jim snaps out of it and gives Della a present which he has brought for her. And he assumes that that will explain his reaction. Della opens it and she's so happy. Jim has given her the set of fancy combs that she always wanted. And she cries because now she has no hair for the combs. She recovers herself and she gives Jim his present, holding out the fabulous watch chain. Now Jim smiles and he falls back on the couch. He tells Della that he has sold his watch to buy Della's combs. And then Jim says that let us put away our presents. They are too nice for use at present. And let us have our dinner. And as the story ends, the narrator brings the story to a close by telling all of the readers, that Della and Jim are the wisest of everyone who gives gifts. They are actually like the Magi's Christmas story. Now let's look at the various themes that O.Henry brings up in this short story. The first thing is there are some questions about love and the triumph of love. Jim and Della both willingly sacrifice their most prized possessions in order to give each other some nice gifts. And this highlights the triumph of love over greed or materialism. And the next theme is the theme of generosity or the purity of generosity. They love each other so much that they are generous in spite of living in poverty. They are generous to get each other meaningful gifts. And it also raises questions about what is wealth. Now Jim and Della are very poor, but their love is very rich. Materially they are poor, but the love for each other is so rich. And it indicates that materialistic goods are not the only type of wealth that people have. Now we have two main characters in the short story. One is Della Dillingham, the young wife of Jim. Though both of them live in very poor conditions in New York City, she sacrifices her beautiful hair in order to buy Jim a nice Christmas gift. She seems to be a devoted wife and woman. Now the other main character is Jim Dillingham Young. Though he's only 22, he bears the burden of supporting himself and his wife on a very small income. He's known for his punctuality, as well as he's also known for glancing constantly at his prized watch, which he ultimately sacrifices and sells in order to afford the beautiful combs for Della. Now, there are some interesting things in the short story. The first thing is the title itself, The Gift of the Magi. Now, the question is, people give gifts on Christmas Day, but who invented the practice of giving Christmas gifts in the first place? Now, according to the Bible, the Magi were the three kings who traveled to Bethlehem for somewhere in the east to deliver gifts to the baby Jesus on that first Christmas. Now, these Magi were wise people. The gifts the Magi gave to Jesus must have been very wise. But the narrator says that these two characters in the story, Jim and Della, are just like the Magi. And they are the wisest of all people who give gifts and receive gifts, because they give each other the best gifts anybody can give to each other. And the ending also is very interesting. O.Henry is already known for his twist endings. At the end of the story, Della cuts and sells her hair to buy Jim a chain for his watch, and Jim sells his watch to buy Della combs for her hair. Here we have a classic case of irony. The determination to find the perfect gift leads each character to make a sacrifice, and that sacrifice makes each gift useless for the present time. What makes this ending so bittersweet is that it only comes about because they acted on their intentions. Their gifts would not have been useless if they had not given up their prized possessions. Now, if you look at the different symbols and imagery used in the short story, we find some biblical imagery like the introduction of the Magi or the mention of the names of King Solomon or Queen Sheba. There is also this symbolism of dullness in the flat, cheap flat, broken doorbell, a broken nameplate, only $1.87, which all shows the poverty of the couple. At the same time, the festive season of Christmas. Now, some important quotes from the short story are: life is made up of sobs, sniffles, and smiles, with sniffles predominating. Let's put our Christmas presents away and keep them a while. They are too nice to use just at present, Jim says at the ending of the short story. And the narrator, the writer says that of all who could give gifts, these two were the wisest. They are the Magi themselves. Now, this was about the themes, the content, the summary, the characters, and the quotes of the short story, The Gift of the Magi. In case of any queries, approach us on the blogspot mail or the number given. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.